Hi, baby. That's my girlfriend, guys. Alright, so we're going to talk about some of the differences between the book and the movie. So they're just coming off straight from my mind. I've seen the movie once, and this is based off of what I remember from the book and from the movie. So I'm going to miss a couple of things. This is just to point out some of the obvious clear differences between the two. Alright, so starting off, one of the first things that I noticed, and I'm not sure why I noticed this, but I did, was the fact that they didn't use a computer to scan the ticket. A scene that comes to mind is also the fact that there are 50 walkers instead of 100. Now I understand why they do this for budget reasons. Luckily, I don't think that really affects the plot. Another difference I noticed was in the crowds. In the book, they seem to have big crowds that pile up on the sides of the streets, and they require police to be there to hold them back. However, in the movie, it really just seems like a small group of people, like 2 or 3 at a time, that are just watching the walkers as they walk by. Another difference is that there is also a major use of animals in the film, whereas in the book, they hardly get talked about. Now, if you read the book and also seen the movie, you'll know that there's a couple of characters that are missing. For example, Scram. In the book, he's a married man from Arizona. However, in the movie, he's missing. In fact, some of his story is mixed with some of the other characters like Hank Olson. And if I remember correctly, Scram is also mixed in with a little bit of Collie Parker. Another difference that I've noticed is the fact that Stebbins is a lot more talkative in the movie. In the book, he's very quiet and hardly ever speaks, maybe speaking once or twice a day. But in the movie, he's a character that kind of gets on everybody else's nerves. Moving on to our protagonists, both Garrity and McVrees no longer have girlfriends in these stories. And McVrees' backstory about his scar is completely switched up, and in my opinion, it's done for the better. As for Garrity, he no longer has a girlfriend, and we're also given a backstory about his dad, in which the Major is involved. Now that brings me to the Major. In the book, he's hardly present. We mainly only see him at the beginning of the book when he's giving all the walkers their numbers. But in the movie, he's seen all throughout the story, and he behaves more like a parody of a Major. What I mean is that he's constantly spewing out lines that are meant to inspire the boys. Going back to Garrity, early on in the book, he sees this girl in the crowd, and he goes to her and kisses and touches her. So he is unfaithful to Jam, his girlfriend. And in the movie, a similar girl is also present. However, Garrity just looks at her, and he doesn't go over to talk to her. Another thing with McVrees is that in the movie, he seems to unite all the boys together, and he inspires and gives them energy all throughout the film. However, in the book, it seems like he kind of goes off and does his own thing for a little bit. He only really likes to banter with the other boys every now and then. In the movie, it also feels like McVrees and Garrity have more of a brotherhood, whereas in the book, it comes off a little bit more of a queer relationship between the two. Finally, for the last major change, the ending. Spoilers for this next one. In the book, the last 3 standing are Garrity, McVrees, and Stebbins, and the winner of the long walk is Garrity, and he goes off into the darkness on his own. But in the movie, the winner is McVrees, and he also goes off into the darkness on his own.